just feel old, Neil. Just
Just feel
feel
old.
old.
That's it. Just
Feel,
old.
yeah, man. You start life and you're like ahead of the game, and then there's just some point where you realize that you're way behind. Like I never understood how like parents got out of touch. Now I do. I totally do. Like you miss a couple of trends, and then you're just like, I don't even know how to talk to people anymore out in the world. My wife's always like, my wife, me and my wife talk about death sometimes, and like, well, if I die, I want you to go outside, go out and be happy, and the
Yeah.
normal married people stuff. And I always tell her, I'm like, if you die, I'm never dating again. Like, it's just, it's it's
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's over. And she'll be like, well, I want you to be happy, and I'm like, you don't understand. I'm never gonna date again. It has nothing to do with like I will be hung up on you. I mean, I definitely probably won't get married again just because you were the one. I'm not gonna like do that again. Not because I hate marriage. I love marriage, but like you were my wife. That's how it is. I'm just not gonna make another person my wife. That's not why I wouldn't date. I wouldn't date because I don't know how to do that anymore. Like, not that I was ever really good
Yeah.
at it, but like there's all sorts of crazy stuff out there right now, and I respect all of it, like pronouns and everything. I respect all of it. I just don't understand it well enough to to jump into that side of the pool. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Like we've had the same exact conversation too, and it's just like what like where do we go?
yeah,
What would we even begin to do?
right,
Like shit like Tinder and stuff like that. Like
right,
I know
right,
swiping is involved. I
yeah,
know one direction is good and one
right,
direction is bad.
right.
Uh I know nothing outside of that. And
Yeah,
then you
that's how I
just get
feel,
these
man.
other random ones that like I've only heard of. I don't even know what like Bumble. Like I don't know
Oh,
what
I
that
know.
is. Like
Yeah, and humble or hungle or I don't know, man. Yeah, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. Plus, I got the 5-year old, so I'd be like, I just gonna focus on the 5-year old, and then eventually, something cancer related will eat me.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming. Welcome to a horrible gaming podcast. I am not alone, nor am I ever. With me is
do you have to like change that disclaimer now though, technically? Cause there was that one time.
that was that one
Usually
time.
I am never maybe.
Usually I am never
For the
maybe.
most part, I am not.
Just anybody who cares about grammar immediately turns it off.
Usually I am never.
Usually I am
Am
never maybe. And then they're like,
am I
nope,
English?
nope.
Does speak yes? That would be I, Neil, aka a tiny wizard, breaking the already broken English language.
Oh, everything's broken. Everything's always broken. All right, so let's go ahead and thank the people who helped us make this show. First is Mr. Mark Bell. He makes all the custom graphics for the show. You'll see them on YouTube behind the fancy timestamps. Some of the graphics you will find are made custom, and they are his. Everything else is stolen from the internet, like the dirty thief I am. And then the theme song for this and all of the shows here at Old Man Gaming is provided by my brother, the man who makes the music, Nick Van Sliders, and we thank him for that.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to our first segment, our most important segment, although probably going to be our shortest segment this week, and that is Fan Traction. That's where we, the co-hosts, talk to you guys, the fans. We read out your comments anywhere we get them. Sometimes we do a talk down if we have enough comments and one of them strikes our fancy. But this week we only had one comment. No problem. We understand. Busy people listen to this. I get it. And that comment came from Asylum66. Hi, Asylum. I got nothing to say this week. Don't have any Nintendo systems and don't really care for any of their games. They remake 50 times before they innovate. Still waiting for next gen to start. Have a great weekend, everyone. I think we had a pretty decent weekend. Thanks, Asylum. Yeah, I can't necessarily disagree with you. You know, we talked about it last week, kind of in the whole Nintendo subject, and they kind of thrive on nostalgia. They don't need to innovate because they know that they're gonna buy Zelda or Mario no matter what they do.
Yeah, that the one. Yeah, 100% for sure. I mean, I think we did say that pretty much exactly for the
Yeah.
most part. Like the last major innovation with like a Nintendo franchise in any sort of way was the Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
And, you know, we are basically going to get Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be, you know, more Breath of the Wild, which, you know, I personally am okay with. But, you know, you have he's makes a great point, you know.
yeah.
If you don't get anything new pumped in, you know, if you're not okay with what already exists, then yeah, maybe Nintendo stuff isn't going to be for you.
No, and I get that. I totally get that. I think that like I think one of the problems here though is, you know, some things these companies do are dictated by the public, and the public keep buying these games over and over and over and over and over again. And while maybe it's not cool for Nintendo to capitalize on that, I mean, as long as we keep buying the same Zelda game, as long as we keep buying the same Mario game, they're going to keep making it because they can make that money on it. And I think that it's one of the things. They just thrive on nostalgia. Just make that Mario 64 again, just to add one more feature. You know, like, just make that Zelda experience again. Now, Breath of the Wild did change the game. I'm not gonna argue that. Not even gonna put that in the back burner. Love or hate that game, it is a completely different Zelda experience than what we had in the previous years. Still, that being said, they very rarely do that.
Yeah. The only other thing that I can really think of that they've done like that was like with Mario Odyssey, but even Mario Odyssey is really a stretch because that's basically Mario 64
Yep.
but on a grander scale. So
I mean, they've all been Mario 64 when you really think about it. Even the games like
yeah. Oh,
Mario, Mario Galaxy is one of my favorite
Mario Galaxy.
game. It's just they put a different spin on the platforming, but it's the same thing. You go to this place, you collect a star, then you go back to it to collect a hidden star, and then you get so many stars, you get to fight a boss, and a new area unlocks. Like, it's the same loop that we've seen since 64, without a doubt. Like, every one. They just have this, like, a different mechanic in there, but they're not changing the wheel here at all.
The last true innovation outside of Zelda was Metroid Prime.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, I think so.
They took the 2D platforming and they turned it into a first-person shooter. That's but again, like you said, you know, it only happens every like 15 years, basically.
Well, and what's crazy about all that is you think about Metroid Prime being the last great Nintendo innovation. Then you look at like Dread, like they haven't even gone. They literally went back to the old nostalgia and made money off that. They were like, no, let's just make Metroid again, and people were like, yeah, fuck yeah. So like, and it's one of the top selling games for Nintendo. I mean, as I've said before, part of the problem is us buying the games over and over again. Nintendo's never really gonna fully commit to like. You know, breaking the mold and changing things up until we stop buying the stuff that's just the same thing over and over again. But yeah, that's it for fan traction, man. Easy breezy, man. It's just Asylum 66 this week. So yeah.
Breezy, beautiful.
Cover girl.
Yep. Yeah, cover girl. Absolutely, cover girl. I don't know where I was going with that. I thought I had something there, but apparently not.
That's okay.
Went straight through my
we
grasp.
We have plenty of time to eat up by failed bits. I do want to say this might be a little bit of a short show just because we don't have a talk down and fan traction isn't as big, and we only have the usual one talking point. So just everybody prepare.
Yes, the folly It continues. We'll see.
Smash cut 2 hours and 6 minutes.
It's the SpongeBob thing. 2 hours. Yeah.
Good friend. I like your impression. That was spot on. Spot on. All right, we're gonna go to our talk down. We're talking about Steam Deck this week. I'm very excited about this subject, and we'll be right back.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to our talking point today, and I'm super excited about this talking point, Neil. Steam Deck launched, kinda. Steam Deck launched on Friday the 25th.
Kinda.
Solid, kinda. On Friday the 25th. I have watched some reviews in progress. I have been following its release and all the things after it, the good and the bad and everything else, and yeah, this is a really exciting time. Really exciting time that a handheld like this exists for the price that it has upon it. So let's start with the positive before we get into the negative. This system's awesome, man. Aside from all, there are some downsides to it. We're definitely going to talk about it. There are some negativity to it, but just the fact that you could put a PC in your hand and take it with you and play those games, and not just your games, guys. Like, this thing runs like a PC. It's still waiting on a Windows update, which we're going to talk about. But like, this thing can run your Netflix and your YouTube and everything just right in your palm while playing, and also play video games and everything. Like, to play those high-end games in a handheld version, relatively easily, relatively bug-free. Before that, you had to wait for it to maybe be ported to Switch, and let's face it, a lot of those ports don't work, or they do it with their streaming service, which doesn't work. Plus, Nintendo does not have Netflix, Hulu, any of those kind of supports. The only thing they have on there is YouTube. So, I don't know. I really like this system. I really like everything that's been said about this system. There's definitely downsides we're going to talk about, but I'm not going to lie. I want this system. I'm not going to buy it anytime soon, but I want this system. It's definitely interesting. I love the idea of being able to, like, fucking play high-end games just anywhere. I don't know. That's my positive take on it right now. What do you say, Neil?
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool idea in theory. I
mean, it's in practice now. It exists.
Well, yeah.
You keep saying in theory. It exists.
Yeah.
It's happening. It works.
Yes, very functionally, it works and does do the thing, but I'm leaning more towards the negative end. On this.
Great!
So,
awesome.
Yeah. I know.
So
we were
glad I
just
picked
talking
this.
About it. I was literally just about to say before we got into this, you wanted to.
I was
have
up
such
here.
A happy positive.
I was up here, and then right back down. How are you possibly negative on this? I don't understand.
Look, here's the positive end of things.
Okay.
The positive end of things, kind of stemming off the negative that I'm, thinking about, is this is only the first iteration and the launch of it.
Right.
There's going to be updates. There's going to be patches, and they're already talking about hardware revisions that could exist in the future. Not anything solid, but there's been allusions to such.
Right.
So, I mean, on the bright side, this is something that's not going to go. I don't think this is going to be something by way of like a Steam box that
no, definitely
happened
not.
for like a year and a half, and like, all right, well, it didn't really take off, and they ditch it. This is something that is the first iteration. I mean, for shit's sake, the first iteration of a lot of things is not the best. It's never the best. It's always what comes second/third. I mean, yeah, the ability to play these games native installed on the device and not streaming is massive, because we've talked about this before. Nintendo has kind of painted themselves into a corner with their hardware. They need a new generation to be able to keep up with the games. They have a fix for now, which only gets them so far. That's not the best place to play games, with the streaming that you're able to play these games in your hands. theoretically entire Steam library can come with you. Some games may not necessarily be
Yeah.
compatible, but I mean that's just by nature of what the Steam Deck is.
Yeah, and what the things are. It's one thing
Exactly.
that they talked about very heavily in the IGN review in progress, which I'm no huge proponent of IGN, but the review in progress was a very good 12-minute video on this thing. I urge anybody interested in the Steam Deck to check that out. But yeah, like they had said that, like, some of your MMOs where there's tons of text and writing on the screen, you can't read it because the screen's too big and it's too small and stuff like that, which just comes with the territory. You would just expect that,
Honestly, the biggest thing that I think is great for the Steam Deck is they have been very open from the start. They are like, hey, look, here's this thing.
Yeah.
It's a PC running Linux. You can do whatever the hell you want to do with it. Swap parts, repair it yourself.
Yeah.
Which they're gonna be partnering with distributors to be able to like sell parts for replacement and like have guides and everything too. So they're very much, they know their audience,
Right.
and they're catering very much to their audience.
There
It's
is
very open and available for
Yeah.
all people to do whatever with. And I cannot wait for like the 5 months from now where we start getting crazy things like, oh, this person somehow magically managed to run, something at, max settings at, 120 frames on the Steam Deck. What? Like, somebody somewhere is going to do some craziness with it. And it's going to spawn its own little
mod community
support. Yeah.
I mean, they said you can hook this thing up to a monitor and it just runs like a PC.
Right.
I will say this also before we get off the purely positive side of things, that I really liked was the business end of it. Basically, to avoid scalpers. Do you know what they've done, or should I?
It's a sign up process, but it's basically like an inline sort of deal.
Yes.
So
So they send you an email. Like once they've got it in on the 25th, they sent out their first batch of emails to anybody who pre-ordered this. It's in the order that they pre-ordered it. They send an email if you decide. And you have 48 hours to respond to either complete your purchase of it or to say yes or whatever, and then they send you your Steam Deck. If you don't, it moves to the next person in line. And this really, you're not going to see scalpers be as prevalent with this hardware. I wish PS5 had done something like this back when they launched, because even though you're going to get it slower, like the launch date was the 25th and nobody has the console, you know what I mean? Like that's a little bit weird. It comes out a little bit slower. At the same time, virtually none of these systems are going into the hands of scalpers, and if they are, it's going to be like one person getting one of them, you know what I mean? I think that's really fucking awesome how they're doing this. I think every console generation going forward should really take a page out of this book, and we would avoid these huge price hikes and these scalpers just making them impossible to buy for normal people and jacking up the price to like $2,000, So I really do want to say that.
Well, as we are talking about it, just for shits and gigs, I have looked on eBay. And, I mean, there are people already. I mean, definitely...
They're going to sell it for that high price, and if you want to purchase it for that high price, fine, but they're not controlling the supply and demand. That's what I'm saying.
No.
Like, the company is controlling the supply and demand. If you want to get it for the right price, you'll get it in the right time for that price, depending on who pre-ordered. Instead of like what I'm saying, like, you're right. It's definitely out there on eBay for a ton of money because scalpers did buy it and nobody can get it, so they're going to try and sell it for a high price. But those scalpers haven't bought enough to corner the physical market on it. You know what I mean? With PS5, they would just buy fucking 50 of them with their bots, and then they could drive it up. Like, every scalper would do that. Nobody could get a hands on it,
Yeah, that's literally what I was about to say. Was I
Okay.
have them pulled up on eBay here, and there are like a shitload of listings on here. Um, there are, of all of the ones that I'm looking at, an entire page worth right now. They're of course being listed for multiple thousands. Like there's one $2,000, $1,500, stuff like that. There are only two that actually have like bids on them. That is it.
Right.
The other ones are just nothing,
Yeah.
zero. And like some of them will have them like listed. Oh, starting bid is like $400. Oh, but you can buy it now for $1,300, and
Right.
like nobody's buying them.
Right.
So yeah, it's like you were saying. It's like this is one of those things. Like when you are going to get it.
Yep.
You know
Like
exactly when it's going to be coming through. I mean, well, not exactly, but
Well-
you at least have an idea.
Well, and the other thing is too, PS5s, any console like day or two after it comes out is going to have those price hikes because it is going to be hard. It's going to be out, but it's going to be hard to get. Period. Regardless of whether the scalpers get it or not. But the difference is you still have PS5s going for. Sorry for the burps, guys. Sorry, that was unprofessional. But you still have PS5s going for something like $800 to $1,000 in places. Where and how long are we after the release now? We're a year and a half after the release. I don't.
Yeah.
You're not going to have that with the Steam Deck because they will slowly, steadily release the supply to the people who are paying for it, and that price is going to have to come back and normalize. You know what I mean? So like, I really feel like they need to take a page out of the book for this sort of practice. And now, if you want to go negative, you can.
So, I mean, the negativity that I have, it's again, it's very much it comes from a place of, like we've already mentioned, it's something that needs software updates, stuff like that. But
what does it?
Right, and that's the thing. I mean, that's where I'm starting with it at least. But
Okay.
The negatives that I have for it, honestly, from what I understand, the actual launch of it, we are still waiting on stuff that, like, there's simple OS fixes.
Yes.
That are like, why is it that this wasn't, after it was already delayed, what was it, 3 months, something along those lines?
No, it was only like 2 months. It was supposed to come out in
Still.
December, I believe.
Why is it now, like, why are those problems still not fixed? There's OS sort of errors, the navigational stuff. The battery life, from what I understand, is atrocious.
Not that great. I don't think it's atrocious. But it's not as great. That's for sure.
I mean, I know you were talking about the IGN review. I mean, you were playing in the IGN, review in progress.
No review in progress,
yeah. They played God of War on it, and the battery only lasted about 90 minutes.
90 minutes is not atrocious, though. Like, I mean,
of course, compared to what it is that you are,
right?
Compared to what it is that you are playing, of course, yes, it is a PS4 game,
right? That's right
on a handheld console. I mean, it is to be expected that there's something along those lines. But what I'm thinking of is the fact that, like, this is supposed to be a portable console,
right?
If you have a battery playing this sort of stuff that only lasts for even just say 2 hours, the first generation of the Switch even was a hard sell for the battery life at about, it was like 3 hours or so, even though Nintendo claimed it was like 4.5, 5. That was not the general user experience.
Right.
My thought process with something like that is, if you have it plugged into, your console have to be plugged into a wall, it is no longer portable. For extended play sessions. There's some games where 2 hours is the entire play session. There's no indicator for like the battery dying. It just happens.
This is true
too.
too. I was going
So
to point that out as well. Yes.
that's kind of a huge thing. And from what I understand too, games that are supposed to be Steam Deck certified in some instances aren't. Now, again, some of this stuff comes back to simple fixes that in 5 months from now are going to be fixed. But after, after listening and watching to some of the reviews from the experiences that people have, I originally had considered maybe getting a Steam Deck. Now, I had talked to you about this somewhat recently, but
Yeah.
I only have like 5 games in my Steam library. So, I mean, it would be something that eventually I would get into building out a Steam library.
Well, can
And
I digress for just 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead.
After the Windows update, you'll be able to play Game Pass on this thing. So like the 5 games on your Steam library, who gives a shit?
Yeah, well, with that is a graphics card update available for the Linux base for this. I mean, you would have to install, from my understanding, you would still have to install Windows OS on it.
The way they said it in the review in progress was that at this particular time, it's nearly impossible to get Game Pass or any Windows thing on it because of its Linux base. And it's one of the big reasons they didn't finish the review in progress, because they said that supposedly within the next month, the first update is going to contain a Windows OS update that allows easy access, like easy install and download for Windows, so that people won't have to like really spider monkey that shit to get it onto the Steam. You can right now, but it takes a ton of fucking work.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, with that Windows update, the speculation is that they will also streamline it a little bit more so that the Game Pass will work on it. And once you get the Windows update, you'll actually be able to play your Epic games on it. Now, they won't be optimized for the Steam Deck like the Steam games are, so it's give or take whether they will work, but it literally will give you access to anything a PC does. But you don't have that Windows update yet, so you're stuck with kind of the Steam operating system right now.
Right. Yeah, and that's stuff, like you said, like it is gonna be fixed and updated. But from the initial, everything that I have heard, it has been very mixed bag.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things to where this is something that seems like it is targeted towards somebody who, 1, does not have a Switch, and 2, has a very vast Steam library where Steam is their main platform for gaming. And that there, I would not consider that to be a negative. That's kind of like a middle ground because, everybody has different preferences and stuff like that. But from what it sounds like to me, where it is currently at, just given how long it has taken for this to launch with the delays, everything like that, and the fact that there's still so many updates and support that needs done, it does kind of make me wonder about what the longevity or the road, rather, that this has to go down to be a more viable option, at least for myself.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It does make sense. And I want to clarify my position on something. First of all, I would not purchase the Steam Deck in its current form if they were available for me to get. I do want to make that clear. I agree with you. However, I want to say this. What console doesn't have these issues when they release? Even the more established plug-in TV consoles have had insane issues. PS5 had crazy issues. I would say Xbox Series X probably was the smoothest, but each one of these consoles, like initial console generation things, has these issues that pop up that people are like, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem. So, like, I don't know. I kind of feel like I have a hard time counting against it. a lot of the stuff you pointed out because of the fact that these are initial bumps in a console. And honestly, with the amount of problems that this thing has had, considering it's not just a normal console, but a portable console, and it's really Steam's first foray into the console market when you look at it.
Yeah, and I was actually going to jump in and mention too. I mean,
Okay.
this is a very, very much. It is a first generation console.
How do you not like
exactly?
This is a nail it to me. Like I don't think a console generation has been this positive right off the bat since like the old school ones like 64, or Dreamcast. I think anything in the modern era of consoles has had way more issues, especially if it's a console coming out the gate,
Right.
So I feel like in that level, it had to be a mixed bag. A mixed bag is a success for Steam. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I definitely get what you're saying.
I do want to hone in on some problems that I really agree with you on, but before we get there, that's one of the things that I want to point out. Like the Windows update, I'm not saying it's definitely going to fix it. I don't know what the future brings. I'm trying to be an optimist here, but I think that is going to fix a lot of these operating system problems that we've had, such as, you can't get Game Pass on it, such as this is very directed towards Steam users, such as you can't play games, such as I actually think that we'll probably get an indicator very soon, and it'll probably come with that update. I can't imagine they don't fix that
Right. Yeah.
on the fast. That is ridiculous. That should have been a first issue fix. But that being said, let's face it, the people who pre-ordered this are Steam superfans. Like, those are the people who are going to immediately drop $400 to $600 sight unseen on a portable console first time from Steam. That being said, they're going to be like, hey, we can do the Windows update later, because everybody who put that money down, they want the Steam library,
Yeah.
As far as the contender for Switch, which you had mentioned, whether or not this is a contender for Switch, I think this is definitely a contender for Switch. I don't think it's a contender for Switch on gameplay right now, but I think it's definitely a contender for Switch for hardcore gamers. And when you said that, like, you wouldn't consider getting it, you already have a Switch, this would be for people who don't already have a Switch, I have to respectfully disagree with you. I want this even though I have a Switch, because I gotta be honest, just like we talked in Fan Traction, while the Switch games are great, I'm not saying they're not. Anytime we hit those walls where we have something that like is really adult and very much for the old man in me, those things don't run well on the Switch, whereas this will have stuff that runs well on the Switch. The other thing is, I like my apps, baby. I like my apps. I like my Hulu and my Netflix and all my apps to be with me. I can't do that with the Switch. Switch does not make that available in any way, shape, or form, whereas the Steam Deck would. I really like that. As a Steam owner, while I would not buy this as a Switch owner, while I wouldn't buy this right now just because of the, initial growing console pains, I definitely want to get this in the future. Will I? Probably not. I'm poor. But, like, you see what I'm saying here, I think.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. The only thing that I just can't wrap my head around with, because you're not the first person to have brought it up. It is the lack of the Netflix and everything on consoles.
Well, on
90%
Switch.
of us, like Switch and everything, like 90% of us have smartphones that do it anyway. And especially with a Switch, you already have to have access to either Wi-Fi at your home or a mobile hotspot on your phone, which could already get you to Netflix or something like that. I remember, like, it was.
I mean, what's your point here, man? You're going to need internet for half the games that are played on Switch or Steam.
My point
it's a bigger screen, and it's not as shitty as watching it on your phone.
I mean, yeah, it's a bigger screen, but that's about it. I wouldn't want to, like, I never in my life, if like if I want to watch something, I'll just watch it on my phone. You
Ugh.
know, having it on your Switch, like that's just so bizarre to me. I mean, I don't know. Like
I'm gonna respectfully disagree with you again, because having YouTube on my Switch is awesome. I can put that little stand up and just put it on the table, and then I've got like a little mini TV. My phone is fucking teeny, and I gotta hold it. It's obnoxious. Like I would much rather watch things on my Switch than my phone.
I mean, I guess to be fair, my current phone is very large. So there's that.
Mine's pretty big too. I mean, that's fine that you want to watch it on your phone. I'm not insulting your likes. I'm just saying that nobody would want to watch these apps, or nobody would want to have access to these apps on these portable units. I'm going to disagree with you. I think that's been a big complaint against the Switch, is that we are, going on 3 years in, and it does not have any app support other than YouTube.
No, it wasn't saying, like, I just personally can't wrap my head around
right
the purpose of it. I mean, you have, like you've just explained, you have your reasons as to why you would want it. I just personally, like, I never would poo-poo something because it doesn't play, Netflix or something like. Now, if
you cannot poo-poo it, I will poo-poo it. The other thing is too, if and while the Steam does not have the dock yet, the dock's coming, like, I think next month or the month after, I can't remember exactly. But like, when you have a dock and you can connect it to your TV, my Xbox, I mean, it isn't anymore. I've kind of switched to the smart TV, but my Xbox was my app support. Like, we watched everything through my Xbox. So like, when I got the Switch, I still needed the Xbox for the apps. I'm not saying that I would have gotten rid of my Xbox, but you see what I'm saying? If I was only using my Xbox for that, like, if I wanted to go to one console and I wanted to make the Switch, like, I couldn't do it. Whereas with the Steam Deck, my Xbox is super old. I don't play any games on it anymore. I don't really need it anymore. I could make the Steam Deck my living room centric console with the what's it called? The dock. With the dock, I could make it my main TV thing. And I know smart TVs kind of take up that space now. I'm starting to understand that. But still, you see what I'm saying? Like, I feel like those apps give you that versatility that maybe that Switch just doesn't,
Well, I mean, with the console, like something like the Xbox, like that's a totally different beast. Like, that's one of those things to where, like, it's not like it's one of the, you can disconnect the Xbox One from the wall and pop out a screen on it and carry it around somewhere. It's connected to the TV always, all the time.
Right.
Like, if, like, I would understand if somebody was looking for that specific functionality, who, like, is like, I only have a Nintendo Switch to be able to watch Netflix. Right. And that's the only way I could do it. And they were like, wow, it doesn't have it. That's a real bummer. Like,
right.
That instance, I guess. But it's like, I have 800 other things in my house that I can pull Netflix, Hulu, whatever up.
Not everybody has 800 other things in their house.
But you know what I mean. Most people have at least 2.
I mean, you can say that
5
all day long. The general population disagrees with you. They want those apps on the Switch. For whatever their specific reasons are, they want those apps on the Switch, and I am inclined to agree with them. And just because something, like, just because maybe it's silly to have it on there doesn't mean that, like, it's a stable. These things have those things on them. My phone has it on it. Why doesn't the Switch? It's one of those things where, like, you should just have it. Like, it's not acceptable to not have it, even if nobody would ever use it.
Yeah, I think, what was it? The 3DS had, I know the 3DS had YouTube. I think it had Netflix also.
See, that's crazy. If the 3DS had Netflix and Switch doesn't, like, there's no reason to drop that. Just put it on the new one.
If I remember correctly, it was on there for, it was like 2 years and nobody used it, and then they cut it. And that's probably why they probably why it is that they don't do that anymore.
Well, maybe, but it's still like people want that on there,
Yeah,
and it's
I
not
mean,
on there, and
the the
the Steam Deck does that.
yeah, the overall argument that I was just making with that is I guess am a minority, but it just has never made sense to me. That was just
I
the
mean, and
overall point
I
was
get
trying to
it,
make.
dude. I'm usually in the overall minority. I get it. Like, I'm not trying to knock you for that. I'm just saying that like the general census of the population wants this thing, and in that way, it's kind of I like they even pointed it out in the review in progress. You know, which
Yeah.
that
Yeah, I
if
remember
they're
that.
pointing it out in that, then it's a win. It's a win, whether or not it's an empty win. You know, I think that what I do really want to hone in on that you pointed out that I do agree with is the battery life. The 90 minutes is incredibly short. I know I kind of was like, that's long. It is long. It is long. Like playing 90 minutes portable, these fucking high end games. But like to have it only be 90 minutes, to have it plugged in, uh, is a limitation. I'm not going to say it's not. I don't see how they get around that though. You know what I mean? Like
I think
with the level of games that they're trying to play here, I think eventually we're going to get newer models that are able to do it with quieter fans, which was another thing they pointed out, that
yeah.
there's a external fan on the top that's just constantly like me, like, which is a
Yeah.
little obnoxious. I think eventually you're going to get a quieter fan, you're going to get longer battery life, and I think that that's one of those things that's just like a shrug. You know what I mean? Like, how the fuck were we supposed to do it? You know?
Yeah, and
So,
I'm
like,
sure there's gonna be like external battery
right,
accessories and
right.
stuff like that. Like, yeah, like I do understand with that. Like, again, we had talked about you're playing a PS4 game handheld. The
Yeah.
fact that it lasts 90 minutes is insane,
Yeah.
even if it is only running at like 30 frames a second or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, that is craziness.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like that is you completely emptying the battery.
This is true.
Like
This
that
is
is
true.
completely emptying the battery. You know, you still want to like. I don't want to be playing a game, get into it for an hour, and then start saying, well, I got to find a spot to stop and
plug
save
in.
so
Right.
it doesn't just die on me, you know.
I don't like the lack of indicator. I think it's one of those. It's something that I have a hard time really counting against it because I think somebody overlooked something. You know what I mean in the lead up to it, and it's one of those like rookie mistakes. You know, that's going to be fixed pretty early on. I want to say this though. So from a very personal standpoint, taking it personal, because you took it personal with the apps. Let me take it personal for a second.
Yeah.
When I play the Switch, I am playing it when I'm sitting with my 5-year-old waiting for her to go to sleep, or I'm playing it with somebody who's using the TV, and I don't want to go downstairs and play on the PC. Though I never take my Switch out of the house because I'm so afraid it'll break. Like I just don't. So like it's not really portable to me either. It's more a versatility around the house. Like it's a thing that I can play video games on when I have time to play video games but have no ability to play them in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
That being said, man, I would love to be able to sit in my kid's room while she's falling asleep and play my fucking Steam games like Naraka Blade Point or fucking I suddenly blanking on all the games that I own, and I own a lot, but like to be able to play those high end games while I'm sitting with her instead of like try and find something on the Switch that I am already sick of to play, that would be awesome. Absolutely awesome. So like just from that, or to lay in bed. To lay in bed when I'm going to sleep and be like, I'm not quite sleepy yet, so I want to play something and be able to play like those games. Like, holy shit, that would be fucking amazing to me.
Get
and
that
I just
white noise of the fan in the background and lull you to sleep.
right. Well, my wife has to sleep with the TV on, and that drives me
Yeah.
nuts.
We are a fan year-round household.
That's fine. She doesn't need white noise. She needs like people doing shit. I don't know. Like fan won't work for her. It's gotta be the goddamn TV, and it's bright and it's loud, and it's very, very, very hard to go to sleep for me because I like
Oh
darkness
yeah.
and silence. That's what I like. So that kind of thing is perfect when I'm just not tired enough to fall asleep, even though the TV is on. I go play fucking Outriders or fucking some shit like that in my like tiny. Well, I couldn't play tiny. It's Epic Game, but you know what I mean. Like I could play these fucking
Right.
games. I could play Wildermyth. I could play Wildermyth. You know, like stuff like that. Like I think that appeals to me so much because it literally like trumps the Switch in every way for specifically me in the uses that it has, you know? And I would never really be out of shot to plug it in because I'm at my house. It's more like I want to play it when I can't watch the TV, you know? Um, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I really, really think I think on a positive note, did you have any other negatives to say about it or
No, not really. I mean,
okay.
like I said, I think I don't know
I'm
if I
not
did a good enough
you
job
did.
prefacing this. It, like my personal the negatives that I have with the Steam Deck right now are mostly personal, like strictly me situations, and more so things that are eventually going to get fixed. But at the end of the day, it is something that I know that I will not go out rush to try to get. There's
Okay.
no desire in me personally to get it, but that's
Well,
just me, of course.
one, I don't want to take anything away. I personally think you brought up very good and valid points. Like being completely fair. I know we argue a lot here, but like I don't think anything you said, even the stuff I argued with, wasn't like a valid thing to say. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
as far as this goes, though, I do think this has changed the game in a lot of ways. Uh, Despite the growing pains, the fact that they were able to put this level of PC in a handheld package at this price, the future is bright. You know what I mean? Like yeah. Is this one perfect? No way. Is this a mixed bag? Definitely. Is this gonna set the stage for some crazy ass handheld shit going forward? Yeah, yeah, it is. Like we're looking at a brand new level of play of consoles, like of portability. Like I mean, this thing can do stuff that my PC can do. My PC's huge. You know,
Right.
like that's what's crazy. You can plug this thing up to a monitor, use it like a PC, and it works just fine. Like that kind of stuff is insane. The level of functionality on this thing. I mean, I didn't talk about this because it's a little bit more boring, but from the editor, capture, founder in chief of Old Man Gaming, the idea, the prospects of this are crazy. The fact that I could put OBS on this thing and I could capture and stream from it is insane. And I could do that. But like once the Windows comes out, in theory, I can do that. Like that kind of stuff, like you can't do that with the Switch. You can't stream portable with the Switch. Like,
So, oh, keep going. I was just going to ask a question.
go ahead, ask a question.
So here's something I just randomly thought about.
Okay,
And pontificate with me, if you will.
sure.
So now that Microsoft is, Windows is going to be able to be put on the Steam Deck. We've heard rumors, like probably nothing solid, concrete, credible, anything along those lines. But just people have, said about, Microsoft is making a handheld. There's always been, dumb rumors like that.
Yeah.
Do we think that Microsoft is going to watch and see what happens with the Steam Deck and then maybe make their own portable Game Pass console? Or do they just give their full-on blessing and just put Game Pass as a platform on the Steam Deck?
Okay. Well, if you want me to pontificate, if you were asking Zach from 2 years ago when I started this channel, I would say they're definitely just going to put stuff on Steam, and they're going to make it available for Steam, and yada, 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 yada. With the mentality of Xbox nowadays, which is much more jackalish, much more like exclusive based, I think right now they're like, let's get Game Pass on there as fast as possible. I think the Windows OS thing, they are all about helping to get that, make that happen, because they want that Game Pass on there, because they've always wanted Game Pass on a handheld. They wanted it on the Switch back in the day, and I don't think Nintendo would play ball. And I think, honestly, tinfoil hat, I think some of that started this whole like raider mentality that they've had since. Nonetheless, that's a whole hole we don't have time to go down. I think they watch this. I think they get Game Pass on it. I think they're very happy with it. I'll tell you what, though, if it's popular and the demand is there, they will absolutely make an Xbox handheld, and they will absolutely try and eat Steam's lunch. I mean, they're going to try and eat everybody's lunch, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I think right now, I think they're content to just be on Steam Deck, be on a handheld console. But again, if they think they can make money off of making a handheld console, they will make a handheld console. It's that simple, because they have unlimited money and a thirst to make that more.
Yeah, I that is kind of the track that I'm following with this too. Is I think they are working with Steam to get all that pushed out for the Steam Deck to allow people to, because if I were to make a guess, I think that those who have Steam probably have Game Pass for PC.
Yeah.
Most people. So that's already, them satisfying those individuals.
Yeah.
But I feel like they know that there's some part of those other, like mostly console gamers who are like, hey, man, look at that. Those Steam people have a handheld. Mm-hmm. Nintendo has a handheld. I wish I could play my games handheld. Aside from, the Sony people, because they tried that a lot and it didn't work out very well. So, I mean, Microsoft is the only one left who has not really dipped their toe into that portable space. And I think that now might be the time that they may go for that, or relative to now.
If you want my 2 cents, Microsoft is fighting a war right now with PlayStation. They are trying to win that war. They are focused on PlayStation. But the problem with Microsoft's mentality as of late is they have really adopted a raider mentality. They are trying to be everything that gaming is. Like, if you play video games, you're playing it with something that has to do with Microsoft, period.
Yeah.
They're about to get Windows on the Steam Deck, and that'll probably be enough for them right now. But if PlayStation were to fold, who is the next person they need to go after? It's not Nintendo. Because Nintendo doesn't make anywhere near as much money as Valve does. And they don't dominate the space as thoroughly as Valve does. So I think that when Microsoft launches a handheld, boy howdy, you're about to see some fireworks. Because that's going to be the first shot.
Yeah, that would be very interesting, I think.
And if Microsoft launches a handheld, I'll tell you, the first thing that goes for the Steam Deck, Windows support. It'll be out the window. Like, that's just been their mentality, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. So, like, I feel like, eventually we're gonna see that. But right now, Xbox is just like locked in violently destroying PlayStation. So I think that's gonna go on for the next few years, honestly. All right, you wanna move on to odds and ends?
Yeah, sure.
All righty.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to our final segment. Odds and ends. That's where we collect smaller stories that don't necessarily deserve a full talking point, and we just want to tell you guys about them, riff on them, tell the other person about them, that sort of thing. So yeah, let's get down to it. I've got 3. How many you got, Neil?
I've got 6, but I feel like there might be overlap.
Okay, you want me to go first then, or you want to go first? Like, how do you want to play this?
I'll go. I'll go first
All
with
right.
the one that's kind of quick. We actually kind of briefly. I can't remember if it was on an actual episode or not, or if it was just a personal conversation that we had, talking about the potential impending announcement of Street Fighter 6. Well, it literally happened
It
like
did.
immediately afterwards.
It was the day after. I woke
It
that
was the
morning
day
to the teaser.
after. Yeah, and apparently, I don't know if you saw this part of it or not. You can see Ryu's dick in the in the teaser trailer for it.
I did not see that part of it.
Yeah, apparently there is a nice sized bulge in his pants
Yeah,
that
dick
if
shot.
zoomed in upon, you could
You see
see.
like the outline of his penis.
Yeah. So that's a thing. They back, but back to the actual game itself. They did say that they will have more information this summer, probably around the E3 times.
This isn't the same guy, right? Like he walked away from it after 5, didn't he?
Yeah. Ono's gone. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
gone. So this is going to be somebody else handling it. I'll be
What the fuck
completely.
is wrong with the Street Fighters, by the way? Like, how much steroids are they doing? Like,
I don't.
Jesus Christ.
Man.
I watched that teaser and I was like, Ryu, what the fuck, man?
It's not even that. It looks like like if somebody selected him as an image and put him in like a picture editor and just clicked the
Yes.
top corner and just
Yeah.
dragged him over to the side and made him broader.
Yeah.
Just stretched him out.
He's huge. And what, his muscles are all so taut, like a ridiculous level of taut. Like, it's like he's just ropey from like start to finish. I'm like,
Yeah.
holy shit, man. Like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, well, that's interesting. It'll be interesting to see if it's any good or not, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I didn't really get into 5. I bought it for Steam as well to give it another shot, and I still can't get into it like I did with 4.
Okay.
4 is my favorite. I love 4. 5 just didn't catch me, so we'll see what happens with 6.
You know, I gotta be honest, with fighting games, I feel like at this point they should be games of service. I know you probably don't agree with that, but like, especially the one-on-one ones, like, the stories are always so very simple and quick. It's almost always like geared towards the multiplayer in those things.
Yeah.
And I feel like you just make a thing and just keep adding characters and content to it instead of like a whole nother game where you have to change the systems or it feels stale. You know what I mean? Like I just wish they'd just like make
yeah.
it this and just keep adding stuff to it.
And they actually effectively did with 5. Even
Well,
though they
with the
have,
exception of they're releasing a 6.
well, they did. 5 now is, God, how old is 5? 7 years old,
Right.
I believe.
Right.
Might even be 8 years old, and that was their sort of situation. Like they were going more for a live service. Now they did initially say way back then that Street Fighter 5 was going to be the last Street Fighter.
Yeah.
It's going to be constant updates, and they did do that. They still hold events, like, you know, for XP and fight money and stuff like that you can use to unlock the characters. They have free character weekends from time to time where you can try some of the premium characters. And they have these horrible ads that are thrust in there, which drive me up a fucking wall. You'll start a match and it'll literally say "brought to you by," and it'll show like some like sort of DLC that you can buy for the game. Like when you go to start a fight, even if it's just you versus a computer, it drives me up a fucking wall.
Yeah, that's
It's not fun. It's
not
great.
fun. No fun. All right, do you want me to go or you want to go with those?
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. I want to see because there's some that I think we will overlap.
I
I'll
don't
be
think
shocked
any
if we
of
don't.
my 3 overlap. I don't think any of them overlap, honestly. I'll be surprised if they overlap, honestly. So my first one, Knockout City, which was kind of a surprise hit multiplayer game last year, with a lot of, it's kind of the third person dodgeball game. kind of like almost like an anime style dodgeball sort of thing.
Yeah.
Uh, Craziness with them. They are going free to play, and they are no longer published by EA.
Yeah, I saw that.
Whether or not they got dropped or they separated from EA, who knows the story behind that? But they are going free to play, which I think is the right move for a game like that. I think any game that's non-story, that's only multiplayer, should probably be free to play, especially if you have any sort of perpetual purchases in game. Like, I think that's just the right way to go. But yeah, so they're free to play. You could try them out now, even if you don't have Game Pass, which you could play it if you had Game Pass before. But yeah, they're no longer with EA, which is kind of crazy to me that they shedded EA. So
Yeah, I saw it too, but I didn't look too far into it. I was really wondering what the whole reasoning behind dropping EA.
to my
Going free
knowledge,
to
they
play.
haven't. To my knowledge, they haven't said why. All they've said in the press release was like, "We're going free to play at X date. We are no longer published by EA." Like that was like the long and the short of it, from what I understand.
Yeah, the going free to play doesn't necessarily surprise me.
No.
I feel like that's a natural evolution for those games that
Yeah.
are primarily, if not strictly, multiplayer. You charge money up front, people buy it at the $30 price point, and then whatever stuff that they've purchased and everything in the game. And then from there, it's like, okay, we've made our money. Let's just make it free to play to get everybody else in here and make some more cash.
Honestly, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think a lot of these companies with these want to be free to play, and the publishers hold it up. Personally, I don't think it was their decision to not be free to play in the beginning. You look at Destiny 2. It's the same thing. Like Destiny 2 went free to play right after they separated with Activision.
That's true. Yeah.
Like I think a lot of these businesses would much rather be free to play, but the more old school model that's adopted by a bigger publisher that they're with kind of forces them into that, like, you gotta make upfront money on it. I mean, and that kind of stuff hurts games. There's a lot of like multiplayer specifically games that aren't narrative driven that you just wouldn't try if you got to pay for it. Do you remember that Rocket Arena that EA produced a while back?
I remember that thing.
That game is totally failed, but that game had a $20 purchase price. Like, nobody's gonna try that for $20. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta put these things. Like, those kind of games need to be free to play. They just do.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have any, like, that's what that model was built for. All right, your turn.
Alrighty. So apparently Bethesda is going to be dropping their own launcher on PC
Yeah.
and returning to Steam.
Yeah, not dropping like a fat track, like dropping like they don't want it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really am curious as to what has driven that. Maybe it was just too much back-end upkeep. Maybe it's Microsoft saying, hey, you don't have to do this anymore. Very curious. But there is going to be one less launcher out there in the world for y'all.
Yeah, that is true. That is
I
true.
think everybody's pleased about that, though. So
Yeah, I don't think anybody really loved the Bethesda launcher, honestly.
yeah, from what I understand, it was regarded as one of the worst.
Yes. I mean, makes sense.
Yeah.
So me next or you again?
Go ahead.
Okay. Doom 2 has a new mod. The original Doom 2 mod. And it is a mod that completely and totally rewrites the game to be SpongeBob. And it is disturbing as shit. Of all the things to like be disturbing and not get a cease and desist, we talked about that Pokemon game that wasn't even out that got a cease and desist because you could murder Pokemon. This game is about Squidward getting fired, getting fed up with SpongeBob, and going on a killing spree in Bikini Bottom. That's what it's about. Like, and it has a story and everything, but it's a mod that overlays Doom 2 and makes everything look like the Bikini Bottom. All the characters look like SpongeBob characters. The whole thing. And you're Squidward murdering people with weird SpongeBob weapons. Yeah. I'm not even kidding. Look it up. Look it up.
That is bizarre. That is absolutely bizarre.
It is extremely bizarre, and it's to me, it's bizarre that like there's a lot of stuff out there that I'm like, just let them put it up, man. Why would you stop that? I am thoroughly shocked that Nickelodeon hasn't stopped this, like in some way, like because it is insanely violent, and it's Squidward murdering all the lovable characters. It's crazy. It's crazy. Just want to say that.
Alrighty, so next, Square Enix is apparently like impossible to please.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, apparently they've said that Guardians of the Galaxy did not meet their expectations, even though the game reviewed fairly well, and it even won like the best narrative at the Game Awards this past year. So, what were those expectations?
Square Enix is a terrible company.
Yeah, did they just think that because, you know, they slapped Marvel on something, it was like, oh, well, the Avengers thing didn't do good, but maybe it's because it was a live service game. It's a Marvel thing. People like the Marvels, right? And, like, yeah, I personally have not played it, but from what I understand, it's a pretty decent game.
I don't think of it as a success, as a failure. It won a ton of, like you said, it was nominated. Everybody spoke very highly of it. I don't know how it's a failure.
I mean, I can't imagine it reviewing that well overall and not selling any copies.
Right.
I mean, who knows? But
especially since it had a reduced price, if I recall correctly. Square Enix is a terrible company. Like, they are a company that's like beyond awful, and they actually also put off a lot of the stuff that would be blame on them onto their developers. You look back at the Outriders shit that happened. You remember that?
Avengers.
Right. Now, Outriders was a nightmare. Nobody's saying Outriders didn't have a lot of issues after its release, but all of the servers that Outriders ran on were actually run by Square Enix. People didn't realize that. Like, they thought it was all People Could Fly. Everybody just jumped on People Could Fly. Square Enix was in charge of the entire infrastructure of the servers for that game. So it's one of those things that, like, Square Enix ducked it while their developers took it. Same with Marvel's Avengers. From what I understand, the game was extremely rushed, and it was extremely rushed by Square Enix. Now, I'm not giving these developers passes in any way, shape, or form, but Square Enix is a terrible company and do terrible things. Like, we need to recognize that.
Yeah.
I only have one left, so I don't know how you want to play this.
All right. I mean, go ahead. I'm really surprised that there wasn't any of this overlap.
Yeah. Well, I knew you were gonna talk about the Street Fighter thing because we talked about it in the thing, and then I knew you were gonna talk about the Bethesda thing, so I just let that one go. I'm interested to see what else you would have thought that would have overlapped, but the final one that I have is we talked about Call of Duty. We've talked about Call of Duty a lot. We've talked about how we don't think it should be an annual franchises, that we don't think that there should be annual
Here's
franchises.
Some overlap.
Oh, there we go.
Here's some overlap.
All right. And we talked about, like, how happy the employees who make Call of Duty were to try and get a change or whatever. Well, Call of Duty, for the first time in over, like a decade or two, I think?
Yeah. It's like 8 to 10 years, something along those lines.
I'm going to say a decade. First time in a decade, it is delayed. There will be no Call of Duty game in 2022. I am thoroughly excited about this. It really opens up the holiday season. And don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on Call of Duty. It's not a bad game. I still think they're one of the best battle royales out there. I'm not hating on them. I think that this constant rat race rush makes these games not as good as they could be. You talk about a lot of the stuff that happened in Vanguard too, and a lot of the glitches there. I think all of that stuff can be avoided if you just let these people take the time to make the game instead of just like shove it out the door as fast as you can. And not to mention the fact that really opens up the September-November season when Call of Duty releases and just buries anything else that was released there. We really get to see something interesting because Call of Duty is the highest selling game every year. It's not even coming out this year. So I'm very interested to see what's going to happen in 2022 now with that. But you know what? Fair play. I think Call of Duty should take a break. And I'm really interested to see what kind of quality product they're going to be able to come out with if they take that extra year. Plus, like I said, Warzone was doing great. I know that it's got some bugs from the latest updates, and it has some serious issues. Fix those, get Warzone back on track, and you've still got that to take you as far as you need to be to release a new Call of Duty.
So this is interesting then, because the article that I saw was that it is not coming, that 2022s will be coming out, but 2023s will not be coming out. That 2022 is supposed to be a reboot of Modern Warfare 2. And that they were skipping
arguments. Interesting.
That they were skipping 23. I just Googled it here. There's one here for comicbook.com a day ago that says that there for the 2022 one. My big thing was the fact that I think it's very interesting that it is 2023 that is going to be the one that they're skipping, which is the same fiscal year that the Microsoft Activision deal is supposed to close.
This is crazy. You're right. I'm even more blown away by this because I've never heard of a game that isn't announced yet being delayed.
Yeah.
This game was never announced, and now it's delayed.
Yeah, it's one of those things because, they just have assumed everybody's just trained now. It's like freaking Pavlov's dog. You know, November rolls around and we want our Call of Duty.
I apologize to everybody out there. I read it wrong because the truth is insane, and I didn't think that that was the way it was. So I apologize, everybody. Neil is right. The 2023 Call of Duty is delayed. The 2022 one is coming out. So
which is
still so crazy.
It's still weird.
Yes.
Overall, it's still very weird. I mean, even though we know that it would have been coming anyways to delay it still. But, like, my tinfoil hat shit is, like, you know, Big Daddy Microsoft is going to come in and say, you know, like, hey, we want X, Y, and Z to happen with the new Call of Duty. So they're just going to push it back so Microsoft can get their hands in on it. Yeah. Yeah, and it will, like you said, it will be interesting to see what kind of takes that space moving forward.
Yeah, in 2023, I guess. So fucking crazy. All right, well.
I know.
It's all you from here on out.
Yeah. All right. So, only got two more. I only got two more now because we had that overlap there.
Okay.
First, Twitch streaming will be returning to the Xbox with official integration back into the platform coming soon.
I actually originally had this on my list. I don't know what happened to it. Yes, this is that's interesting. Twitch streaming coming back. Finally, something is replacing the defunct Mixer for streaming and stuff from the console. So,
which is kind of weird that it took them this long to do that. I don't know. Maybe they were just finishing shutting down the Mixer stuff. I don't know.
They had a deal with Facebook. If you want to go back, they actually had a deal with Facebook.
Yeah, I remember. There was the whole
Mixer was shutting down. Mixer was shutting down. And they were basically giving everything to Facebook Gaming, like all their assets. So the assumption was that Facebook Gaming would be putting some sort of app on Xbox. So I am assuming somewhere along the line, behind closed doors, that fell apart. But like that's one of the reasons that all the big name people that they had literally just signed to be on Mixer had the option to go to get their money back. To get a severance pay or to go to Facebook Gaming. That was their options at the time.
I remember that. I believe we talked about that, or that might have been when Logan was still on.
Yeah, it was a while ago. It was a really long time ago, and we were kind of like, I mean, we definitely made fun of it because it was Facebook gaming, but it was a very strange deal, and nothing ever came of it.
Oh yeah.
So,
And then my last one, something that we have kind of had chats about on and off to some degree.
okay.
Apparently, according to the industry insider Jeff Grubb, whom we've spoken about here on the show a couple times, I guess Fallout New Vegas 2 is in early talks over at Obsidian.
Oh no. Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah, I really don't. I really don't.
Because like that's the thing is Obsidian now has their baby
Uh-huh.
in Outer Wilds or Outer Worlds, that is. I always confuse those two.
Yeah.
So they have their own thing now that they put their stamp in, like, this is our thing, this is our replacement for Fallout effectively. But now that they're back under the Microsoft banner, they want to have Bethesda also under that same banner and be like, hey, let's all pal around here. You remember that thing that you guys did a while ago that everybody likes?
Yeah.
We want you to do another one of those. Oh, but we have our original stuff. And, there's that Avowed thing that we've only ever talked about once that people are really interested in, but we haven't shown anything for like 3-4 years on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's that thing. Well,
That's
yeah,
basically Skyrim.
that's basically Skyrim. Yeah, do this too. Do this too. Well, I mean, we kind of did our own thing, so we didn't have to do that. No, go ahead, just do the thing. So I will be
I don't know.
interested to see what's going on there. I mean, I've always thought of Obsidian as like a smaller team to, like, maybe they have like their one primary project and like another thing in the wings. I always thought it was kind of weird enough that they had the third thing between Grounded and the Outer Worlds and Avowed all going at the same time. And now we're going to throw that in there too. Like, is Microsoft staffing them up like crazy? Or like, are they just being treated as like a full-on first-party studio now?
So, not to actually you, but Obsidian's always been a bigger company than they've let on. They have
they
have
I
roughly
know.
5 teams that I am aware of. One of them is extremely small. That's the Grounded team. Or at least it started out small. I'm sure they've added on people after its kind of runaway success. But that was one of the reasons Grounded came out as an early access beta, is they were like, we're a small team. We want to release this. We don't want this to take like 1,000 years, so we'll just build it based on your comments, basically. That being said, what you're forgetting is all of the tactical strategy games that they create and publish. Other than like Wasteland 3's Obsidian. No, that's in excess.
Oh, I was
No,
about
that's
to
in
say.
excess. It's in excess. In excess. There's another one though that I can't remember, and it's gonna drive me nuts. But
And I know they did. Didn't they do the South Park game also? Yeah, they did the South Park.
They
game.
did the South Park game, but I don't believe that was like a different team from something else. But there was another game, and now it's gonna drive me nuts. Don't worry about it. But they've got at least 3 teams, if not 4. They've definitely got a team on Avowed. They've got a team on Outer Worlds. I'm going to say I don't like this, though, because
Yeah.
I liked Obsidian finding their individuality in the wake of kind of Bethesda telling them to fuck themselves. You know what I mean? And personally, I never played New Vegas. Sorry to be that guy, but I never played New Vegas. I never really... I tried once. I didn't get into it. So, like... For me, I don't want to see Outer Worlds go away based on a New Vegas thing. And let's face it, they're not going to make 2 of the exact same game. They're not going to compete with themselves. And this is something that I was very afraid of when Bethesda came in the door. We've talked about that multiple times. I was very afraid when they bought Bethesda because basically Obsidian makes their bank on making Bethesda games better than Bethesda can.
Yeah.
I think that's how they were setting themselves up. Outer Worlds is a better Fallout game than the most recent Fallout incarnations. And Avowed was looking to be a better Elder Scrolls game than the latest Elder Scrolls incarnations. And by latest, I mean Skyrim 10 years ago. The thing is that like that's their niche.
So weird. It sounds so weird, but
it is. And this was something I was
to your point. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This is something I've always been scared of. They're not going to have two companies make the exact same games under the same umbrella. It's just not going to happen. So like either Obsidian's going to start making the Bethesda properties that they don't want, or Obsidian's going to have to start making other games. Like and I don't want either one of those things. I want the Outer Worlds. I want competition for Bethesda because Bethesda needs to be better. So like this is not good. I don't want a new Vegas 2. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who do. I don't. I don't want a new Fallout game from Obsidian. I want them to make Outer Worlds and Outer Worlds games. I want them to make Avowed. I don't want them working on Elder Scrolls 6, which is something I'm afraid they're going to get tossed. Because there's nobody to really work on it at Bethesda. This is something that could happen.
Nobody's even really working on Elder Scrolls 6.
Well, that's what I'm saying. No. They're saying they're in pre-production. Everybody wants to see it. It would be very easy for them to go, you know that game that you announced that one time that's kind of like Elder Scrolls 6? Turn it into Elder Scrolls 6, and now that's your project. Like, this is the kind of stuff that I'm afraid of. I don't want that. I want the creative, original properties that Obsidian has been presenting to us. And that goes away when you have a company under the same umbrella that does the same thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, because now they have to work as a team. You can't have Avowed coming out in the same year as an Elder Scrolls. Not that that would have ever happened, but the potential for it to happen is there now. You can't have Outer Worlds coming out at the same time as a Fallout game when they both work for the same company. And this is the kind of thing that we're getting into the weeds for, you know? And I think that I think Bethesda's all about Starfield right now. That's what they're about. And they're not working on Elder Scrolls, and they're not working on a new Fallout game. So those are easy ones to say, hey, Phil, give that to the B team. Even though I've never considered Obsidian the B team. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And this is something that I'm very scared about this news, honestly.
Yeah, it's basically confirming what we were talking about, what was it, like a year ago at this point?
Yeah.
When... It's a little over that we were talking about this whenever the Bethesda acquisition and everything happened.
This was 100% our theory of what was going to happen. Like, yeah. So, yeah, it's very, very frustrating. But is that it for odds and ends? Can we get done?
Yes, we can.
All right.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to the end of the show and the shameless self-promotion that comes with it. Neil, plug away.
Halo Infinite Road is ending. It's going away.
Kinda.
We did a little bit more recording. I want to say we are approaching the halfway-ish point of getting through Halo 4. And then after that, unless Halo 5 comes via streaming on the PC, we done ourselves a series, my dude. Which is, how long have we been doing that even?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
It's been a while.
Let me
look
it up.
At least a year.
I'll look it up.
Bare minimum a year.
I'll look it up while you plug there.
Yeah, but it has been great. It has been fun. It has been wonderful and fantastic. And it is still going on. It's not done yet. I mean, at the rate that we're going, we still probably have about another month and a half of episodes. Lots of stupid things. Stupid things are said. Stupid things are done. Not a lot of team killing this past time, though. Though I think threats were absolutely made. But
there's some team killing. Can I tell you something? Anybody who ends up getting to it, I totally was definitely shooting him on purpose with the tank.
Yeah, I kind of figured. And you laughed straight to my face.
I did. I was 100% shooting you with the tank. Yes, there was like a couple of times where I did by accident, but the one where we we kind of failed the mission and had to start over, I was like, I can't start this over without shooting you again. So I just shot you.
Why not?
It was great. Great stuff. So, do you want to know the date in which the first Halo Infinite Road was released?
Yeah.
It was called, it was Season 1, Episode 1. It was called Covenant Confetti, and it was released on October 8th, 7 days after my birthday, 2020.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Holy shit. It's really been that long?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's been that long.
20.
It's been that long. That was the first ever episode of Halo Infinite Road.
It's like a year and a half.
Yeah.
That's wild. It's gonna be a year and a half at the time that ends. Wow.
Wow. It's kind of like the Borderlands 330 stuff was really long for me and Phil Billy too.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. All right, so you done plugging?
Yeah.
All right, I'll take the reins of the plugs. All right, biggest plug. I mean, obviously, check out everything we have to offer, but the biggest plug this weekend, Sunday, I believe 1 p.m. we're going to do it. The 100th episode of Prelude to Divorce. That is the show where I force my wife to play video games with me while she makes sarcastic remarks at me. We are going to do her first ever live stream. She has never live streamed anything ever. And for our 100th episode, it will be a live stream with Melissa on it with me. And we're going to play the Game of Life 2 for a couple hours. So please, everybody, I have my hands together. I'm begging everybody, come out, talk to us. You can ask us any questions you want. You can ask Melissa any questions you want. If you have the Game of Life 2, we'll try and play with you. Please come out and interact, especially since Melissa does not believe anyone is going to show up at all. And I at least want to get a couple of people in there. So please come check out Prelude to Divorce, because I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't always do the best. Sometimes it does really good. Sometimes it does really bad. Prelude to Divorce is probably my favorite Let's Play, possibly of all time. I love doing it with her. It's so much fun, and it's one of the only ones that I just always watch back. Always. So please come check it out. Please. I think it's going to be a lot of fun if I can figure out how to set up my shitty-ass camera so that it somehow picks us both up. But yeah. So Prelude to Divorce, 1 p.m. this Sunday, the 6th, March 6th, will be the 100th episode of Prelude to Divorce, which we will both be doing together. It's very exciting. It's her first ever live stream. Come check it out. That's my big plug. That's my big plug there, Neil.
That's the big plug.
That's the big plug.
Yeah, and I remembered it too. I remembered that's this coming Sunday because I remember you asked me explicitly to watch it.
I did. I want everybody to check it out.
At some point.
I want everybody to check it out. Just because I think people will check it out, because honestly, our streams do better than anything we have here on the channel. Like they just do. Like especially lately, our streams have been absolutely balls to the wall crazy. So it's fine with me. So I think people will be there anyway, but she is just convinced there will be no one there. And I'm like, people are going to be there. Trust me. So, all right. Well, that's it, everybody. A little bit early, 6 minutes. You guys can reach us on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. Join our Discord, links in the description below. Influence this and all of our shows from there. You can also check us out on Twitch when we get to stream, twitch.tv/OldManGamingDH. And then, guys and gals, as long as you keep watching and listening, we'll keep making them. See you guys next time.
Made a discovery in Steam.
Okay.
They have Sonic Adventure 2 in Steam.
Oh, that's amazing.
I'm like, oh god, I immediately wishlisted it.
How much is it?
It's only $10.
Oh, that's not
but
bad.
Like my stupid ass knows at some point it's gonna go down to $5, and that's when I'm gonna get it.
Yep.
Because I don't need a third copy of that game. Fourth copy of that game. I have it for the Dreamcast somewhere. I have it for the GameCube, and I bought it digitally on the Xbox. I don't need a fourth copy of that fucking game.
That's awesome. All right, let's. All right, let's do it, man.
Alrighty.
Going in 3, 2, 1.